So post-surgery, atrophy is the big fear that everyone has, but I'm here to help. Been through a bunch of surgeries, and like Liam Nielsen hopped up on pre-workout and Percocets, your muscles are gonna get taken. There's nothing you can do about it, but we got a special set of skills to help you get them back as fast as possible. Atrophy is gonna come from immobility and then injury where your body kind of locks down that muscle, or you've actually been immobilized, plus you've got nerve blocks and other things that come from surgery that are gonna keep you from being able to turn that muscle back on. So with that happening, you're gonna lose size pretty rapidly, but don't panic. Major injuries, surgeries, those are all part of the game. If you've been a lifter for a long time, 10 plus years, and you haven't had to have surgery and you haven't had any major setbacks, congratulations, this video is not for you. But for the rest of us mortals who don't feel like fucking Wolverine, we're gonna have to take some time off occasionally. But there's a couple things we can do that are gonna combat this from happening and help you get muscle back quicker. I myself have been through 9 knee surgeries and a total knee replacement as of April 2018. And we're 9 months out, and as you can see, my leg has developed quite a bit back, and I still have a lot of quad strength and definition. Here's the top 5 things that I believe that are gonna really help get things back rolling and a way for you to bring more muscle mass back to that injured leg, or any body part really that you can. So the first big thing that worked for me is occlusion training. I can start doing this pretty early on. Now, getting into your actually training protocol, wait till your doctor says that's okay. I can't push that enough. This isn't a liability thing for my channel. It's simply the mindset of, look, you're not gonna restore all your muscle in a single day, but you can absolutely fuck up your surgery and then need another month or 2 months or 6 weeks off. So the fastest way to get your shit back is not re-injuring the issue. For occlusion training, there's a couple ways to do it. One, VOODOO floss. This is the cheapest, most effective way. 25 or 30 bucks, you can order one of these from just about anywhere and use that to kind of tie off a muscle, essentially like a cock ring for your muscles, where blood's gonna get in, but it's not gonna be able to get back out. This is gonna cause hypertrophy in the muscle without having to put a ton of load on it. Bodybuilders have used this technique for a really long time, and we're seeing big benefits in injuries using this to regain muscle mass and get strength back. Another option is something like a blood pressure cuff. Be Strong Bands makes one. Now these are about 200 bucks for just one band, like for your leg or for your arm. Full set of these is like $400 or $500, and they're expensive. The last one I don't even have to show you, but it's about $2,000, and it's an electronic version of the blood pressure cuff, and it does wonders. I've used them at PT, and it is far better than these, but for your average gym guy, it's a bit overkill. So VOODOO floss is what I always did and what I found to be the best way to go about it, especially because this fits in my bag. I don't need extra parts. I don't have to blow a thing up with air. So VOODOO floss is what I'm going with. With VOODOO floss, the best way to go about it is you're gonna want, so this is no stretch, just as it sits. This is a little about 100%, pretty good effort. So we wanna stay about 50% stretch. So this is gonna apply enough force that blood's gonna be able to get into that muscle body, but not be able to get back out. You know, so you're essentially trying to hit the femoral artery and stuff like that. Whether, same as tying off the bicep, you want it between the muscle and the heart. So for me, with leg issues and trying to build back quads or anything after surgery, tie it off at the hip. That's really the best, just as deep into that sweet groin as you can tie it, and that's gonna be your best bet. Now, a way to check that you're not doing it too tight is you can press on the muscle and you should see capillary refill. So when you press on it, it's gonna turn white, and then as you remove, the blood's gonna come back in. If it's too tight, it's just gonna be red and there's nothing you can do about it. So give it a little bit of slack so that you can get blood back into that muscle. And this is gonna accomplish a few things. With doing this occlusion type training, we can accomplish hypertrophy at much lower weights, like 10, 20% of your max, and that's gonna allow us to get some stimulation going without having to stress out whatever we've injured joint-wise. The best way to go about this, and what worked for me, was doing a 30-second effort and hitting usually about 30 reps, something like leg curls, leg extensions, having it tied off at the hip, something super light. To give you an example, like I'm going in and doing 20 pounds, maybe even just the slider as I can first do it. Whatever is gonna be pain-free on the joint is where we wanna stay. Once you hit those 30 reps, take about a 15-second break, and then you have another 30 reps. And we're gonna repeat this for 3 or 4 sets. Your leg should basically feel like it wants to fucking explode. It's terrible. But once you pull the cuff off, you're gonna get this big release and pump of blood through it. It's gonna flush out a bunch of swelling that's been stuck in the joint. It's essentially creating this great response in your system to kind of send white blood cells and send help to that area, as if it feels like it's being injured again, to start flushing stuff back out through it. As well as you're getting the benefit of being able to add size to your muscle without adding the stress of heavy weight. The other big part of this is gonna be volume training. Stay focused on the task at hand, that we're just trying to get better from surgery. Don't stress yourself out too much about where you were going into surgery. That shit's done. You've been injured. So now it's going forward from that point. So start light and start with a ton of volume. One of the ways that I was able to rebuild my quad was as soon as I was able to get back doing leg curls and leg extensions and be pain-free, I'm trying to do 1,000 reps of those a week. So whether that's 30 pounds, 20 pounds, it doesn't matter. I just want to start stimulating that muscle so that it has to grow. And the big focus with the volume is make sure it's the volume that's challenging the muscle group and not the stress of how much weight you have. Again, don't re-injure your fucking joint. Don't re-injure whatever you caused. Like, do no fucking harm. So whatever you need to be doing needs to be benefiting. You can get sore, but don't fuck up your recovery. Number 3 is a power dot. I am sponsored by these guys, full disclosure. I've worked with them for a number of years, but I've used this device through every one of my surgeries. That's 9 for those at home counting. And it's been a big difference. I really do attribute this to being able to get control back over the muscle. And I think that's a big part of it. Coming out of surgery, coming out of those type of things, it's really hard to even get the quad or whatever muscle group to contract again. So being able to set this on something like the strength setting and protocol, and when it's gonna contract that muscle, I want you to squeeze as well and hold it as long as you can. This is starting to build that connection again for you being able to control that muscle and how to turn it on. Till we can do that, it really doesn't make any sense to worry too much about training if we can't get the muscle to actually cooperate. The other use of the power dot for me is just being able to get out swelling. This is the thing that's going to be causing inflammation and causing pain. So being able to put this on and let it pump and use occlusion at the hip as well to fill that muscle belly up with blood and then pull it off, you can start really feeling this kind of flush of blood and new nutrients and everything through that system, and to get all the old stuff out of there that's sitting sedentary because you're immobilized or anything else. Even if you're in a big straight leg brace and you're sitting on a couch, you can open it enough to get these onto your quad and then run it that way from your phone. The real big benefit of power dot is that you're gonna get this passive contraction. So it's gonna work without having to stress the muscle tissue or your CNS or the joint at all. It's literally just getting the quad to fire. And the fresher you are at a surgery, the lower setting. Like, I mean, as long as it's moving and you're getting any pump, that's where we're gonna stay. We don't want it contracting so hard that it's pissing off stitches, it's pissing off any of these other things. Unilateral training is also going to be a really big benefit. So number 4, or D, or whichever we're on, unilateral training is going to be a big benefit. Single leg squats, split squat, TKEs, single leg step up. Depending on as soon as you can get to doing these movements, start adding these in and start hammering the volume to get hypertrophy in that movement. I don't need you to go real deep. We're not forcing range of motion here. We're just trying to get contraction out of the main muscle that we're trying to return back to normal. And while you're at it, you can still train, right? Like, you can still hammer your upper body. If your legs are a problem and you're immobilized, you can get around the gym and you can sit on a bench and you can kill yourself with 2 25-pound dumbbells. I've done it. The body's gonna respond in a way, like, it doesn't simply just grow the upper body and not train the legs if you're only doing upper body. Unless you have a major nerve issue, it's gonna kind of want to do things all as a single unit. Take the time and do your other training that you're still supposed to be doing. If your left leg is good, be training that as well on the leg curls and leg extensions like you normally would. You may as well hold on and keep doing what you're doing that's been working. Don't just abandon everything and only do rehab. A big step of being able to get that muscle growth back is actually being able to do some compound movements. The first one that I add back in after knee surgery or any issue is going to be HATFIELD squats. They're a great tool. Now they require a little bit more, like a safety squat bar, as well as an additional set of J-hooks in a rack that you can put another barbell in as a handle, or if you've got something that you can hold on to. So the safety squat bar is essentially just going to sit on your shoulders and balance, and then you can sit back so you have the handles. And this gives you, for sure, 3 solid points of contact during your lift, because you've got one leg that's healthy and you've got both your hands. We're not pushing weight here. We eventually can, but you'll know that as it goes. So make sure that your rehab training and everything for your leg rebuilding, or whatever muscle that you're rebuilding, is linear progression the same way that you would train like a normal fucking person. Be smart about it and use the HATFIELD squats and control tempo to challenge the muscle, not weight. So 10 seconds down and 10 seconds up. What we don't want to do is switch immediately back to trying to be explosive. It's too much on the joint, it's too much on tissue that's still trying to heal. We don't want to fuck that up. But the HATFIELD squat gives you a very, very controlled way to start getting weight on your back that you just can't quite do with a TKE or any of these. And so you want to start being able to train the hip and glute and get those things moving as well, and start pushing a little bit more mobility while you're fully in control. You want your hands at just above waist height and the bar on your back. I'm also using a high box. I want the box to be like 1 inch below comfortable. I don't want to really push mobility. We're dealing with one thing at a time here. As we're coming out of an injury, we're trying to get the muscle to turn back on. So focus on that and not on depth. If we're going to work on depth, let's get rid of the weight and do body weight stuff currently. Believe me, I know rehab sucks. It's super shitty to do, but it's also part of it. I've been through a lot of it. It's one of those things I'm pretty good at now. And you can rebuild that muscle, and you can rebuild it back in a relatively normal amount of time. But it's going to take work, and it takes doing these things, and it takes build up and being smart. Now, I didn't give these 5 to you in any specific order, but essentially the way I would look at it is like power dot with occlusion is going to be the first thing that you can do coming out of surgery because it's really passive. Next would be starting to add that volume. Third's going to be single leg stuff. And then finally, HATFIELD squats are what you're going to really add in at the end. This is kind of your last step transitioning out of rehab more into normal training. I also want to be very, very clear to stay smart on this and check your fucking ego. Remember that you're healing and give your body time to heal. You don't heal fast. No one does. Tissue takes a certain amount of time to heal. Give it that time. What you don't want to do is fuck an injury up because you're trying to be Superman. Take the time, do it right, heal properly, and move forward. This is the proper mindset for longevity of a lifter and being someone that's going to do this for a long, long time. So for anyone coming out of surgery, I hope these 5 things can help you out. This is what's worked for me. I'm hoping I don't have to do any of these anymore, but I still utilize most of these as kind of my warm-up and protocol for still working my legs now. They keep working, and so I'm going to continue to use them. Hope that helps you guys. If you've been injured, be smart. If you haven't been injured, probably gonna happen if you give a shit. Anyway, thank you guys. Let me know in the comments what type of other content that you'd like to see from the channel. Is this type of stuff helpful, doing this informational stuff? Spread hate, always party.